You're muted, Todd.
There's a panel of us, Stephane and Claudia, are going to ask you questions, but just a proper introduction, and then we want to know your story dating back to your start. But the first time that we got to meet Stephane, one of the things I learned about him was that he was originally from France. They now live up in Quebec, what they call French Quebec. No, you don't live in Quebec. You live,
Yeah.
We're not from France.
We're not from
We're not
France.
from France.
oh,
Maybe our ancestors are from France, but not us.
okay. Listen, we in the U.S. are the dumbest people. Everybody in the U.S. knows that. I mean, everybody in the other countries understand the world so much better than we do here in the U.S. So there is for those that don't know, because I did not know, there is a pocket of Canada that is French speaking, and in some areas French only. So they only spoke French. So the first time I met Stephane, he shared with me that he learned how to speak English listening to Tim Sells teach network marketing on CDs driving down the road. So that the English you're going to hear today, that is where he learned how to speak it. But they started as very young people, a young couple in our industry. And the decade that I've known them, they lived the lifestyle of a billionaire. They may not have $1 billion, but they are always on vacation. They live in the wilderness. Their kids get to do everything that they could ever dream of. They've seen the world. They have built this business from their mountain home all throughout Europe. Stephane was a big part of opening up South Korea. He goes over there. He has a team currently growing in South Korea. They build throughout Canada. They build here in the United States, and they do it all from home, creating their own lifestyle. If you follow them on their social media accounts, you'll see they live on vacation. They never go on vacation. They have to go home. And, but that being said, Stephane and Claudia, let's turn it to you guys first, and you guys tell that story to us firsthand, how you found the industry, what attracted you, and kind of go through all that. And then we're going to ask you a lot of nailed down detailed questions for everybody trying to learn how to go do what y'all have done.
Awesome. Hey, thank you for having us. And by the way, the joke here is that how do you call someone who speaks 2 languages?
Non-American.
So it's a bilingual. How about 3 languages? Trilingual. How about someone who speaks 1 language? An American.
I knew that was coming to that.
Yeah, but anyway, yeah, we thank you for for having us on. It's been a pleasure. I mean, over a decade, and we haven't done any one of those things. I can't believe it after all this time. So it's about time. Our story goes back to 30 years ago. We were 19. We met. We were 18 in college. And at that time, actually, just prior to that, I remember my father was in Amway. And in Amway, they had the tape of the week, the book of the month. And so there was this book right here that's in French, but it's The Power of Your Subconscious Mind. My father gave this one to me. I was 16. I read this book. It took me a year to read. I hated school. I was not great there. But anyway, I finally read the book and I understood the power that we have in our hands. We can accomplish whatever we dream. And so it's 16. Then at that time, I've got big goals because now suddenly my life takes a turn where I think, wow, I can do whatever I want. I can travel around the world. I can do charity. I can do whatever I want. And so I've got these big goals. And then one day we're at school and a counselor gave us a test, kind of an aptitude test, which determines the kind of career you should be good at in life. And so we got the results and I look at the right column because that's where you see the numbers, how much you're going to earn. And the biggest income for my test was $36,000 a year. I thought, whoa, what's that? And I look, it's plumber. Now, I got nothing against plumbers, but that was not my ambition. And I looked around the class, and that was a breaking moment. Like, that was really a turning point in my life, because I looked around in the class, and I could see that everybody were lining up their career based on a test. And I thought, this is crazy. Like, here's my goal. And at that point, I made it the decision that I wanted to create success in my life and come back and teach people how to be successful. I said, this doesn't work. I can't believe people do that. And so a couple of years later, I'm walking in the kitchen. My father is sitting with two of our siblings, and he's drawing circles on a piece of paper. And I pass behind him. I got long hair at that time, kind of a hippie. Anyway, so, I'm standing there. I watch what he's drawing, and he's explaining this concept of multiplication and helping others create success. You create more success. I was fascinated. At the time, he wanted to create a company, an MLM company. And my siblings didn't want to do anything of that. But I said, hey, I'm in. Like, what's that thing? And the reason it caught my attention was because this was the connection between me creating success and coming back teaching others. And I thought, this is the model. I don't have to wait to be successful. I can just be successful with them along the way. And so I was just fascinated by the concept. And so at the time, I'm with Claudia, and we come up with this idea where there's going to be a store, a warehouse. People come in like Costco. People come in and they can buy milk and whatever, and they're going to buy that there and come back home, because at the time, Amway, you had to stock products in your garage, and people would come to your place, buy the stuff. And we said, no, we're going to set up an inventory, a warehouse. And I go to one of my uncle, and he's got a bakery. He's got a bakery, and the back is a warehouse. And I said, can I rent your warehouse and bring some, stuff there? And I tell him the thing, and he says, well, could I just give a percentage also of the sales in my bakery when people come in? And I said, wow, if he's willing to do that, maybe other merchants would be willing to do that. How about restaurants, stores, clothes, all kind of things. I said, but how do I collect the money when people buy there? And I thought, okay, well, we got to have something electronic. And here's what we did. I am 19-year-old. Claudia and I decided to start this company. It was an MLM company. And this was the first co-branded credit card. It has a hole in it that's void, but that you see the zeros. But anyway, that was the first co-branded credit card. And we kind of revamped it a little bit later, look a little better.
Marketing, right?
But that's what we did. We created that first co-branded card in Canada. There was no card with another company on it, with MasterCard International and the National Bank of Canada. Imagine you're 19.
It's an MLM with MasterCard and a bank. So who says it's a pyramid scheme and it's not a good thing, right? We had the Bank of Canada backing us up.
So it was just crazy. And other companies would go in their meetings at the time and they say, this is not pyramid. Even the bank is in it, right? Even the bank has a concept like this. So we started that. And we did that for a couple of years, built a kind of a nice organization. And then the thing at that time is we realized that my ambitions were not to run a corporation, because we had employees, we had to negotiate with merchants, like all of these things. I was running a traditional business. That was not a passion of mine. But the thing is, at the time, every evening, I would come back home and I would tell Claudia, this is too easy. I want this car, I get the car. I need $100,000 because the bank told me we're in. You transfer $100,000, we're going to modify the computer system. I get the $100,000. I'm 19. don't have any money, but I figured it out. Then and everything we wanted the card. We got the card. Like the bank gets into this deal. And so I said, this is too easy, because I read these books and you hear the stories of Henry Ford, of Walt Disney, and they are inspiring. Because you read this and you're like, oh my gosh, they've been through all the struggles and everything. And I said, this is too easy. Because everything I want, I get. And this is not my story. So long story short, we ended up closing that company. We joined Excel Communication just at the wrong time, before it closes. And so anyway, we joined that. This goes down. We join another company. The other company goes down. And that goes on for a couple years where we start to build and then lose it all. Build again, lose it all. And that went on for about 16 years. 16 years. And when people say, oh, you know, I've been in it for 6 months, I'm not rich yet. Like, come on. Like, we've been in it for 16 years. And so during that time, I'm renting snowmobiles because I got to make a living. And my father, you know, like, that was his business. And so I grew in that environment. So I'm renting snowmobiles. Claudia, she's out there working like 2-3 jobs. Can you tell a little bit about that? Because I know that was important for us. And I know many of you are parents and you feel sometimes like you work all the time. And yeah, just go ahead because I keep talking.
Oh, it's okay. Well, you were in the role, so it's fine. So yeah, so the moral of the story is actually that we knew that MLM was the way for us to live the life we wanted. We knew that the whole time. We just didn't have the right vehicle. So we kept at it, but we needed to have a living. We needed to have like grown-up jobs. That's what I would call it, because MLM for us was the dream, the vision, but it wasn't like, it was these kids, 19-year-old that had really big dreams. But then you get married, you buy a house, you have kids. So the grown-up job needs to kick in because you have to pay bills. So that's what we were doing. And he had his traditional business. I was an interior designer for a big firm. But when you have kids, that didn't match my mom vibe, that I wasn't living my mom, because I needed to work 80 hours a week during summertime. And that wasn't okay for me because I really wanted to be a present mom. So that's when you start trying to find jobs that fits your kids' schedule. But when you do that, the salary cuts down a lot because yes, you're there for your kids, but you're not having this high-class job anymore. So we kept just doing whatever we could around our kids' schedule because, you know, your kids, you only get 18 summers with your kids when you think about it. And then they're gone, they're out. And I was like, okay, am I gonna like not be there for 18 years and see them when I have grandkids only because I have to pay for college, I have to pay for so many things for them. I decided to have 3 kids, right? They didn't decide to come to this world, so you need to provide for them. And so yeah, that's what we did. We kind of managed, but always working on the vision and the dream.
And so one day after all these years, I realized that I had lost my confidence, right? Because sometimes you do it for a long time, right? Maybe some of you have done the business for 1 company, 2 companies, and then you start to wonder, like, is it going to ever happen? Like, when is this going to happen? And so at that time, I understood that. I was aware of this. And so one thing I did is I reached out to Tim Sales because I was watching his Brilliant Compensation and I was listening to Professional Invader because my goal was to build a global business. So I had to learn to speak English because that's the way you build around the world. And so I would play these CDs in the car, in the house, everywhere. Claudia couldn't stand his voice anymore.
Yeah, well, let's put it in perspective. So we have 3 kids, right? So usually when you go, and we live far away from big cities, it's like an hour drive. So wherever we go, you need to take the car. So usually when you have young kids, you put kids' music in the car to get them entertained, right? But our kids had Tim Sales in the car. So Tim Sales was their soothing voice that made them sleep, that calmed them down. That's how Tim Sales was present in our life. Like literally, our kids know Brilliant Compensation up and down
And
since
Professional
they're like
Invader and
really small.
yeah, so
Stephane, I got to interject one thing there.
Uh-huh.
We sold back in my early career of network marketing, probably 50,000 brilliant compensation CDs. That's how I got to know Tim. I got to know his girl that ran the warehouse. Like, she was like my best friend. We were ordering 1,000 at a time and selling them at meetings. So if anybody's here today, have not ever listened to Brilliant Compensation, just go to YouTube in today's world and go to Tim Sell's YouTube channel. He's probably the best trainer there's ever been as far as bridging that analytical business mind to our industry. He is a very analytical human being, and he just does a really good job for that pocket of people in the world. Sorry,
Yeah.
Stephane.
No, that's good. And so for me, what I would do is eventually I would pick up, like I would start to understand what they're saying. Because you think about a kid, they don't start with a base of language and learn another one. They start from nothing. So as you know, you hear, and I would watch videos, and eventually I got the hang of the language. And what I did is at some point I had a pretty thick accent in speaking in English, you know, because in Quebec, we have this kind of crazy accent. So what I would do is I would play Tim, and I had these mini tape recorders. You put the little mini cassette in it, and I would record myself. One phrase, I would listen to him. I would listen to myself, say, oh, that doesn't sound pretty, you know, that doesn't sound the same. And I would repeat over and over until I got a little bit more of the accent. So that's how I got to learn to speak English. And so fast forward, I called Tim one day, and I figured out to get his phone number. Anyway, I don't know how I did it, but I got his phone number. I reached out to him, and I said to him, I want to work with you. Like, I want you to sponsor me. And he didn't want, but finally, I don't know what happened. He decided, yes. I got his ID number. I signed up under him. And he pointed me to the things which now most of you know the pipeline, right? Generate leads, invite, present, you know, follow up, train. So he said, okay, do you have a lead source? I said, yes, I do. Okay. Are you inviting people? I am, but nobody shows up. I said, okay, you got to work on inviting. Well, I've listened to professional inviters. So I would record myself, and I sent him tons of recording one day because he said, go and record yourself and send those to me. And so it took me a couple months. I sent him, and he was wondering, what is all these emails coming in? And it was me, you know, recording myself. And he came back, and I said, this is going to be a great training. I can't wait to hear his feedback. And I got on the phone, and he said, so I said, so what is it? What do I need to improve? And he said, oh, you're doing great. Keep doing what you're doing. I thought, this is the dumbest training I've ever got. Like, oh, no. And later on, he said, you know, Stephane, you were doing good. You just need to do more. I didn't want to crush your confidence. You were doing great. And it's just a matter of time you would get it. So, okay. So I continue. And then we joined ARIIX. Because one day he calls me and he says, hey, Stephane, just want to let you know, I'm coming out of retirement. I'm going to build again in a new company. And I said, oh, okay, I'm in. But I had to tell Claudia after we're starting to climb the ranks and get results that I'm starting all over again. It was strike after strike for Tim. She didn't like him, but we joined and we started to really, like, we got in motion. And that's the thing with something new. Whenever there's either a new company or a new market that opens, or like we're facing right now with this new company, new brand, new marketing, you get in motion, it gets you excited, and you just go out and build. And that's what I did, is I reached out to tons of people. But by that time, I had developed the skills. I knew how to invite. And so I invited as many people as I could. I would think, okay, Facebook, I got on Facebook. Facebook would say, you're adding too many friends. I created a second Facebook. I had 7 Facebook accounts. You can't do that anymore, but I had 7 Facebook accounts at that time. I had 2 or 3 Twitter accounts. Like, any idea that came to my mind of finding prospects, I would implement. I wouldn't think twice, and I would not implement like over a month, creating like a sales funnel that takes forever. I would just do it in one night, boom, done. I need a website. I created 3 websites in one night. I was all over the place, everything I could think of. And so we're climbing the ranks, but we're still struggling. And one day, it's my birthday. We go to the spa, we come back, we're relaxing. And I asked Claudia, I said, what's happened to me? Like, when you met me, everything I wanted, I got. And then all these years of struggling, it's not happening. It's hard. Like I'm facing challenges. It's like one thing after the other. And Claudia said, go ahead.
Yeah, so the thing is that, like he said in the story, he kept coming home and saying, this is too easy, right? He kept saying that over and over. This cannot be my story. We're going to have the most boring story ever. We're going to be millionaires by 25 and retired by 28. Like, who's going to want to follow people that have everything they want? So that was his story that he would tell me every single night for like, I don't know, when did we
Couple
close
years.
the company? Like,
Couple of years.
yeah, and it was our choice to close the company because we didn't want the lifestyle that was going to come with the growth of our company. But that decision caused the beginning of 16 years of struggling and, I don't know, the universe testing our vision and testing our dreams. And it's because he wished it, right? He kept saying, this is too easy. This is too easy. It cannot be our story. So yeah, we did not retire by 28 and we did not get rich by 25. And yeah, we needed to start all over again and build ourselves as adults, as dreamers. And
Can
yeah.
you imagine when I asked her, like, what happened to me? And she says, you don't know? I said, no, I don't know. She said, but I know. She said, you know? What is it? Like after all these years? And she says, yeah, don't you remember? He kept complaining that it was too easy. Well, there you go. 16 years struggling. You got your story now? I said, oh no, really? Come on, that can't be true. And so I realized at that point that whatever, I mean, watch out for what you wish for.
Or what you say, just like whatever you speak out, if it's about yourself, about your dream, it's like if you keep telling yourself that your dream's never going to happen, well, guess what? It's not going to happen because you keep saying that it's not going to happen. So that was a big lesson for him because I used to always check him and tell him, rephrase that, don't say that like that, or don't, like, even if you don't think it out loud, if that's what you're telling yourself, that's the reality that you're creating. And that is something that, of course, you can read a lot about it, but you need to put it in practice. And it took him like 16 years. And even if I would tell him, don't say that, like, change your mindset, he wasn't ready to change it until he was so fed up of the 16 years of struggle. And he was like, I need to figure out what I decided when I decided that this was going to be hard. And I was like, it's so easy when I already knew. So that for me was easy, but he needed to be ready to change and shift that mindset. And it needed to come from him. Even if I kept telling him, it didn't come from him.
So one day Tim asked me, he said, Stephane, there's a time where you decided MLM was going to be hard. Find when that time happened. Why did you decide that? And I didn't know. Like, it took me years later that when Claudia told me that, I said, this is it. And so when that happened, I said, oh my gosh, this is crazy. That means I've got the power, because I was getting results and I decided I would not get results. I didn't get results. And so if I can switch like this, I said, watch out, I'm back. And that's when things started to happen. We started to climb the ranks. We started to open South Korea. We started, like, things happen left and right.
Hey, you didn't just climb the ranks that particular year, which I think was about 4 years ago. You went to #1 in the world.
Yeah.
I remember when it happened. It was like, Claudia and Stephane, they're #1 power rankers in the world.
Well,
Yeah,
actually, when we had that conversation, we were like almost 2 years in, and we had that conversation. And like 6 months after that conversation, he actually sold his traditional business and all the vehicles because we were actually making more money part-time than the store was making. So he quit his traditional job 6 months in after that main decision. And then 2 years later, I quit my full-time job. So by the 4th year, we were making more money in the business than our 2 jobs. Yeah.
Yeah, and I told Claudia, I said, you need to quit because we're paying more in taxes. I mean, look, you're bringing home half of what you think you're bringing in. And so she decided to quit. And at that time, I'm more of the, I would say, the go-getter visionary, and she's the organizational one. So she organizes, like she set up systems and trainings and things and events and all of that. So she's really behind all of these things.
Because like if you listen to his story, you kind of saw that when he decides, like, who does 3 websites in one night? Like, who does that? Nobody does that. So that's not duplicable, right? Nobody is gonna like do, oh, okay, Stephane did 3 websites in one night, I'm gonna do that. And I was like, we need to like figure out a way to teach and duplicate the business, because that's the main thing. It's like, yeah, as one individual, you could do a lot of things because you have the vision, you have the experience, you have 16 years of struggle, so you already know what not to do and what to change. But for the brand new person, you cannot like make a copy of Stephane and inject it in somebody else, and not even like one person. So imagine a full team of 100 or 200 or 500 people. It's not possible. So we needed to figure out a way to duplicate. So that's when the system came. And it was super hard for me, because whenever I would try to ask him, so, okay, let's say you sign up a person, what do you do? And he was like, well, what do you mean? What do I do? And I was like, well, what are the steps? And he was like, what do you mean? What are the steps? Because for him, it was so obvious. He's been doing it for so long that it's like, it's not even a brain freezer, you know? You just go and talk to people. Now, what do you tell people? How do you talk to people? Where do you get these people? So I had to like take all of his knowledge a bit by bit, and it was super hard, because when you're a visionary and you know where you're going, and you have so much experience, you don't think about all the little things that are going to make a big difference because it's obvious for you. So that was the hardest part, was like to pick all of his brain, all of his knowledge, and put it into a system that was going to be duplicatable. Because of course, when you have so much experience and a new person that has no idea what MLM is and what that kind of profession is, it's hard. It's really hard. So that was the whole, so I'm the person that does all the structure, all the duplication tools to make sure that everybody could actually follow his lead, because he's really hard to follow.
So, you know, all of you, when you're, you know, listening to this and you hear these leaders that just blew up, and then there's this new team that came on board, and you're like, oh my gosh, like we're kind of left behind. Not true. The thing is, eventually it's your turn. And I remember at the beginning of the company, it was Steve Swartz and I, we're kind of competing. And I can't say competing because we were working, you know, with each other. And even at one point, I remember, I've always been a business owner. And so one day, like Steve is calling me. So what's your volume? Where are you at? We're Friday. Come on, there's a couple of hours left. And he would be on my back like this. And I called Tim and I said, Tim, what's the problem with this guy? Like, he calls me all the time, asking me for my volume. I never had a bus in my life, and he just annoys me. And he says, well, ask him about his volume and whatever. 5 minutes later, I get a call. It's Steve. So you went crying to Tim. Like, oh, we told him. So anyway, we got to build a great friendship. But the thing is, like, Steve was, you know, getting to a couple of ranks higher, getting some great leaders. And then it was our turn, and it was his turn, and it was our turn. And then he blew up with, you know, you guys, you're up. But every time it was like this. So if you keep yourself in the game, eventually it's your turn. And it's going to be your turn, not just one time. It's going to be your turn a couple times. You're going to just climb like this. All right. And so, and for us, that's what happened with Korea, with Europe, even Indonesia. We signed up this company, Shannon. And guys, this didn't work, by the way. All right. It just flopped. All right. But one day we open our back office and there's 400,000 distributors in our genealogy. 400,000. I was just making it like, this is the kind of time that you can't sleep at night. You crunch the numbers, you do your Excel spreadsheet, you try to extrapolate like what's going to happen, and you look at the numbers like, oh my gosh, it's going to be crazy. And they land in your back office and then it doesn't work. It flopped. It just like, it was a bad deal. Nothing happened. But we lost 400,000 people. So when someone says, I lost a key leader who was doing 1,000 points, okay, we lost 400,000 people. And so, and again, why did we stick with it? Because we know our turn will come back. There's going to be another time. There's going to be another leader. This was just not meant to be. That's it. We did what we could at that time with the information we had. Okay, we learned from that, right? So that's the game, that we understand that now. And so just know that if you keep at it, it'll be your turn.
Yeah, so just never compare your first chapter with somebody else's 15th chapter. So yeah, the new team that came, it's super impressive, but I mean, it's not their chapter 1. It's probably their 3rd or 5th book. It's like they've had a lot of experience and a lot of ups and downs to get where they're at today. And
proof of that is like later on, like this last year, we got Christine had gone on board. She got the people from Belgium, and the people from Belgium became number 1, number 2 in the world power rankers last year. And so now we think, okay, that was a year ago. So now it's our turn again. We just got to go get the next one, right? And the thing with our team is we have this tagline and we say, we find and develop leaders. And so you will sometimes find leaders, right? You find them. This is a great bonus. That's great. But sometimes you develop them, right? You help them grow from scratch.
Honestly, that's the best part, because you help people grow their business. But the best part is help them grow as humans and to see their mind shift, the way they see life, the way they see themselves, the way they grow as a human being. And the more they grow as a human, the more the business grows. And that's the magic of this. It's a bigger reward. Yeah, it's the biggest reward. So when you have teammates that come with you on a trip, it's just amazing.
My biggest fear always is when somebody does really well in the beginning. A lot of those people never go long term because they can't relate, train, and build other people. Sometimes you can get lucky here and find a good person, but your mind never grew. And that always comes back to you. So I always say, if you want to get rich in network marketing, you've said 3 things that I think that if somebody asked me, give me 3 things that would make me rich. Number 1, your mindset. Find the things that you're going to read and never stop. That mindset, because I've got leaders in my business that have been around for a long time and they've become really negative people. So it's an ebb and flow life. You have to always work on it. It's not something you fix one time and it sticks with you. I love you telling Stephane that, because Ashley does the same thing to me a lot of times, because I was the visionary. So I grew her mind over that first 5, 6, 7 years, but then you hit different things that go on. So she took everything that I would say and started using it against me. She was like, you can't say that. You've got to reframe that. You've got to do this. You got to do this. And, but that happens to a lot of people. I leaders that I worked with for a decade before, all of a sudden I talk on the phone, like, who is this? So always be aware of that. And then the second thing you said is, I'm sorry, I can't read my own writing. It was the duplicatable system. I always say, if you get your mindset right, and now you're in the business of creating positivity in people's lives, uplifting them, taking them to a place they would really like to be. I always tell a person, if you have a problem outspoken to anybody ever, you have no chance to build a big business. Brent Palmer, and we're very sorry, Brent, but I told somebody this last Thursday night. Whatever night I was in Huntsville, I think that was Thursday night, but he sent his team from Athens to the meeting. and one of his top leaders, Leisha, was there. And I said, Brent was going to be here tonight, but I said, his mom's brother died. And she said, no, I didn't know that. And I said, that's Brent. I said, nobody knows anything that goes on in Brent's life. Like, Brent only tells you the positive. So it's just huge. And then the duplicatable system, finding something that they can repeat. So I want to, if you don't mind, I want us all to ask you a question, but I want to ask question one, because this is what fascinates me about you guys, because I've never been able to do this. I want to know how you build in all of these countries online. Is there some type of duplicatable process y'all figured out there? What is that secret?
No,
There's no secret. I mean, it's you never know who you know that knows somebody. Like, that's the secret. I mean, like, you may know somebody that knows somebody that has a really big connection in Korea. You might know somebody that has family in Europe, and that's how, I mean, like, there's no
But again,
secret.
it starts here, right? That's the first step, is you need to want to have a business international. You need to think about it. You need to see yourself there.
For us, it's like we had no choice because Canada was not open. We had nothing in French, and French Canadians are really stuck up with the French Canadian part. So if you don't have French documentation or French videos, there's no way anything is going to come pass through, because they're super protective of their language. And Canada is really strict with that as well. So even though we could order products from the United States, and at the beginning, we had to pay in US, and that for us is really expensive because the Canadian dollar is lower than the American dollar. So not only we have really good products that have this price, but we had the American price, so it was higher. So it was really hard to build here. So we had to build externally. That was the best way for us. We had no choice.
And our auto ship would arrive, and the next auto ship would process that same week. Right.
Yes,
And so
it took 4 weeks for our order to get in. 4 weeks.
So yeah, it
But
starts
by the way,
with,
you just eliminated a lot of people's excuses down here in the U.S. When it gets there on the 4th day.
Yeah. I mean, and yes, people will complain. Why didn't we complain? Because we had bigger vision than that. So when sometimes people say, oh, my order is late, and they just like, it's the big thing. I'm like, okay, the challenge is there's 2 problems. One of the 2. One is either you don't have a big goal enough that drives you, because maybe your goal is to make $200 a month. Well, $200 a month, and then yes, the little problems will be a big thing, right? Because order is late. For $200 a month income, that's your goal. So the goal is not big enough, or you don't believe in the goal. So maybe your goal is to make $5,000 or $10,000 a month, but you don't believe it's going to happen. So then the little problems bug you. Now, those are the 2 possibilities. That's it. So that's why for us, it was big goal. So we didn't care, like auto ship. Okay, we'll figure it out later, but yes, it starts in the mind. And when we start in the mind, then you start to think, okay, how can I find people who speak French, like in France? Okay, I can find them on Facebook. Like, so I would go on social media and I would reach out to people who are in France. I would find them in groups, join different groups. So I would look for prospecting methods that reach out to those people. And
would you reach them individually, or would you put like attraction things out and they would reach out to you?
No, I've done on individually. Yeah. So that's the way we've done it. And just to give you an example, like for Korea, well, we sponsored a lady in the US who sponsored a guy who sponsored a lady. And those 3, like that 3rd one, had the connection to open South Korea. The company were saying, like, it was September. They said, we're going to open in December. That didn't happen. By March, the first 2, they're gone. They're not here anymore. They're with another company. The 3rd one is still here. And she says, this is too long. I can't believe it, whatever. And so she waits. But by May, finally, they opened Korea. She stayed 1 month and she left. So we were direct with Korea. We didn't know anyone in Korea. I didn't speak the language. I didn't know anything. And I thought, we need to support these guys. We need to show up. And so we flew over there. It was scary because I remember YJ, the GM at the time, he says, hey, okay, Stephane, so when you arrive at the airport, here's the number of the guy. If he's not there, just call him. And I'm like, what do you mean if he's not there? Like, I don't even speak the language. How do I call him from my phone when I'm there? Like, no way, he's got to be there. So anyway, but we've been there like 2-3 times a year. And that's how we built like Korea. And so every market has been kind of like that, like where it's either we did some prospecting and figure out some people. And even in France, like I remember we sponsored the first guy in France. There was nothing in French.
It wasn't open.
It was out open.
So we actually finished by doing all the translation for Europe.
Yeah.
Not even here in Canada. So we started in Europe first.
And everybody were complaining, oh, French people here, we're skeptical. This is different. In America, it's more established business. People don't buy MLM here. And so they kept complaining, but we were building a little group. And then suddenly Steve Swartz gets James Lavelle in UK, who finds a gal, Catherine, who connects with a lady, Vanny in France. And that lady blew up. Guess what happened? It helped our team, even though we were not on the same team. Why? Because they blew up. Our team saw them and they thought, this is working. French people do get on board. And so our team started to grow and we started to attract more people. Next thing you know, I've got a video of me kind of reviewing Brilliant Compensation. This in French. This guy finds the video. He sends me a message. I get in touch with him, sponsor him, and we blew up in Europe. Right? Again, it was our turn. We paid the price. It was not working. The other teams were blowing up. And you feel sorry for yourself. Like you're like, we translated everything. Like we did all the work and this other team blows up and not even us. But you keep at it. It's your turn again. Eventually it's your turn.
Yeah. You just put seeds all the time and you keep putting water on your seeds and eventually your plant is going to grow. And that's the job. I mean, like anything, like people think that this is hard, but whatever you decide to do in life, you are going to have time that you're going to have to put in the work with no results. It's like anything in life, it's like that. But eventually, if you keep doing the work, you're going to get the results. You just need to be patient and believe that this is going to work for you, because even if you do the work, but you don't believe that the work is going to actually give you results, it's never going to give you results. So we come back to that full circle that you need to believe in yourself. You need to believe in your vehicle, that you did choose the right vehicle for your dreams to come true. And it's one-on-one.
And you talked about those things, Todd, the mindset, that's important. We need to have that. And a lot of this we get in network marketing. We get on these calls and we are pumped again and let's go build. The second one is skills. Like I had the mindset with the books and everything, but I was lacking in skills. And the skills are necessary for you to know how to invite, how to follow up properly, how to get people on board, and how to recruit, and duplicate. So you need to develop your skills. And the good thing is in this business, there's not tons of skills you need to be great at. It's just a few, like how to invite, follow up, and help them, guide them through the process. That's it. It's not like a brain surgeon. It's pretty simple. You learn that, you can create success. And the third one is you need to have duplication systems in place, and you guys have that. So now it's just, we got to put in the work.
Speaking of the duplicating systems, you mentioned that we're a brand new company. Everybody here, if you haven't realized this, you're in a 4-month-old company, PartnerCo. You have a 4-month-old company that's in over 50 countries, shipping into 70, 100 products, tons of doctors. I mean, this will become one of the largest network marketing companies there's ever been. I can guarantee it. I know it as sure as the sunrise. And I told the group yesterday on the partners call that I'm more excited right now than I've been in 15 years in the industry. And we've made a lot of money the last 15 years. But I see right now the ability that I can sit down in somebody's kitchen table that has never heard the word network marketing. And if they're coachable, they'll be positive and trainable, and they'll be willing to work 6, 7, 8 hours a week on a part-time basis. I know for sure I have a platform again. I can completely change that person's life in 5 years to a degree they can't imagine. And then they'll go keep repeating that with other people. But if you don't mind just for a minute, because y'all were on that call yesterday, would you talk a little bit about the marketing material? Because we were all been doing this. ARIIX had a Achilles heel of not very good marketing material. So these new owners, they've made a commitment. They've got over $1 million worth of new salaries just in the marketing department. They are putting crazy amounts of resources into it. But the things I saw yesterday, I told I'm like, I can't sleep. Literally, I cannot sleep. I am now working again 18 hours a day. I look at myself in the mirror sometimes, think you are freaking crazy. And then I'll look at Elon Musk and realize he's worth $150 billion and the guy works 25 hours a day. So it's like once you see success, when you realize the field is open, it's time to run. But will y'all talk a bit about that marketing material? And Brent and Kenny, you other guys that were on there, if y'all want to add to that, please do. And then y'all ask questions.
Yeah, the thing is, if you look at other companies, and we've seen them over the last decade with ARIIX, companies would start with nothing and they would blow up. Like you would look at Visalis, Wake Up Now, and they're gone, right? But they grew fast. Jeunesse and all of these different companies, they had the marketing. And our owners were saying, we invest in infrastructure. That's the long term. That's the stability. And so they were right. They were building incredible products, licenses in all these markets.
The foundation is super important. If you have the fluff without the foundation, it's going to crumble down.
Yeah. So they built that and we bought into that, which was great. But then you see these companies grow fast. And so it's seductive, right? You want that. And now they say that's why the new owners, what they saw is they have the infrastructure. We have the computer system. Yeah, they're going to improve on different things, but they have that. We can build internationally. We have the licenses. We have license in China. With how many companies have that? It's very rare. So we have all of that, but now they bring the marketing. And this is when, people buy perception. We went to the movie the other day. We went to watch the story of Nike. And it was, the whole movie is around getting Michael Jordan on board. When they got Jordan on board, the business exploded with, that field with basketball. Why? Perception. People buy perception. And so Mark was the marketing guy. He, in the past, he joined the team Vima. Some of you may have heard of Vima. It grew pretty fast. They did some other things not related to Mark that crumbled the company. But the thing is, he looked at why the kids were not involved, but the parents were in the business. And he interviewed them and checked with them and try to wonder, figure out why the kids are not interested. And they said, well, this is my parents' business. This is boring, whatever. But they figured out that there was a football team, a college football team that was very popular. And they said, we're going to sponsor the football team and we're going to get this superstar on board with our products. They did that. The company blew up. Kids were getting on board. They were sponsoring left and right. The company grows super big. That's Mark. That's Mark's vision. He understands that. So now he's got his foot in the company. He's looking at everything we've got. There's a bunch of things. Is like, I can't believe this company is this size with nothing. Like we got nothing exciting, but it's because we built on a solid foundation. I believe the company would not be here today if it was not for the products and the infrastructure we have. But because of that, now we have stability. The company, passed that period. But now it's time to put the fire on this thing, put more gas, and that's what they're doing. So what you'll see in the next couple months is this company is becoming more and more visible. You see it on different websites, different places. You hear PartnerCo, PartnerCo, PartnerCo. And then I talk to some leaders because I've been in the business for a while. So I talk to people through Messenger and they say, so which company are you with now? And I say, oh, PartnerCo. Oh, what? Yeah, PartnerCo is, wow, what's going on with this company? Everybody's excited. Before it was, oh yeah, I heard of ARIIX. Oh yeah, okay, yeah, cool company. They're doing good. But PartnerCo, people are excited and they haven't seen anything because it's just like 1-2 videos, the slides, watch out, the marketing is going crazy with their lineup of events, one thing after the other. We're going to create this momentum. It's already happening. You see it. But now is the time for us to work hard, because I remember your speech, Todd, in Mexico. Oh my gosh, you know, it was hard to just not think of growing and going back home and build a business, because the thing is, what you said there is what Tim also said to us back in the days when he was a new skin. When the company hit momentum, what happened, like the couple hundred millions in sales, then it started to multiply. And he said at that time, he said, I was sponsoring people and there were 2,000 new people joining my team that month. He said, I didn't have time for one-on-one training. It was conference call getting started training, because I couldn't help 2,000 people who joined. And this is where we're lining up. So now what you want to do is you want to get your income as high as you can, because when that multiplication factor kicks in, watch out, this is going to be crazy. So we're excited. I don't know if you can tell, but yeah.
The marketing is amazing. It's really high tech. It's really energized. And it's in this decade. I mean, like,
Oh, yeah.
it's trendy now. It's in the movement. It's the colors. It's the...
She's an interior designer, right?
Yeah,
So
I studied colors. I studied like what it
conveys.
It conveys everything. Every little thing that they put out was thought really, really deeply, and it's gonna show. It's already showing, and we're super excited. Even for the Vegas event, we were like, we already had a good part of the team coming, but after the meeting yesterday, we were like, okay, there's no way you can miss the first one. It's like, this one is going to be the epic one, because it's going to be the start of something amazing.
Just so everybody knows, Las Vegas sold out already. That's the bad news. The good news is the owners stepped in and renegotiated a contract and expanded the room fourfold. So Vegas will now be 4 times bigger than it was originally planned to be. The second good thing is that tickets are dropping back to $99 because they've met, I guess, their financial requirement. If you paid for your ticket already, whatever the difference was that you paid above $99, you'll be able to call rep services and get a product credit for the extra money. They're going to take everybody back to $99. And there's also going to be a 10-pack, buy 10, get 1 free. But I personally believe that we're going to sell out again in the next 45 days, because I don't think they have room to expand again. And if we sell out again, it'll be the largest North American event that this company's ever had. Obviously, we're only 4 months old, but this would date back to everything. And the material that'll be coming out this week from the company, not us, thank God for the first time, from the company, from posters to put all your signups on and start putting on social media, flyers. And then they have a whole PowerPoint. Our events are now all going to be branded. Like what they showed us today, I was just like, my mouth was open. I was driving while I was watching, I almost wrecked 3 times because I started focusing on my iPad too much. It was unbelievable.
Yeah,
Brent, you were there. You saw it. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's the complete partnership is lining up. I mean, there's a lot of leaders on the Zoom that has seen the video before, the movie before, when the field lines up, corporate lines up, everything lines up, and it's the perfect storm lining up for this company going into momentum. And I got to say this, Coach, because as I listen to Stephane and Claudia talk about building, and I see the ladies in Puerto Rico and guys and men in Puerto Rico, I remember being in Puerto Rico a couple of months ago and being at John Wadsworth's home. And you go into a side room because, you know, that's what nosy people do in America, is you kind of venture off into their home and get your phone and take pictures. Just kidding. But in a side room, on a wall, he has a picture. He has a layout of the entire world. And so I asked John, I said, obviously anybody could do that. It's kind of one of those wall stamp, whatever you call it, on the wall. And it reminded me, Stephane and Claudia, what you guys did. And he said, it's to keep my vision on where I'm going. He said, I realize network marketing is all about connecting dots and playing who do you know. And he said, so when we open up a new market or we're in a new market, then I look and go, who do I know? Is it the pastor? Is it the coworker that says, hey, do you know anybody in Korea, South Korea? Do you know anybody in Africa? Who do you know? And Stephane and Claudia, as you said that, but Todd, going back, you got to speak it out. Like, you got to speak it out. You got to put it into existence. You got to have a positive mindset for where you're going. And the world hits us. I mean, I think about, and I'll be quick, but I think about 16 years. Ask yourself this on the Zoom right now. Have you been in network marketing for 16 years? I haven't. 16 years they were in a desert with no water. Very little water, Stephane and Claudia. But they stayed in the game. They stayed in the game. Guys, this has been inspirational for me today because I realize I haven't been in it for 16 years. What does the next 10 look like in a company that the field and the company's lining up with the marketing material, everything you're going to see this week? And then to think about this, Stephane, that you said, my time's coming. I just got to stay positive. I got to do income producing activities. And man, I got to, if you can find it in you to congratulate teams that are growing when they're growing and realize that's going to help our company and your business because your time is coming. That's hard to do as humans. It's hard to do. But when you can create that mindset, guys, it's powerful. So Stephane and Claudia, thank you so much for today.
Yeah, we're in a business where abundance is the rule. We're not running out of people. The issue, Stephane said it, I'll do it. It'll happen in a country like France, but it'll happen in every town you go to. And right now in the United States, 99.99% of the towns in the United States do not have an active meeting or anything going on. 90% of the towns don't even have a rep in them that have ever signed up doing anything. It's empty. You never start growing until you create the infrastructure, the excitement, and people making money. Then everybody else actually starts doing it. That's what creates the momentum. So this new couple, if you're not aware of them, Greg Tidrow's getting me the date. We're going to have Greg and Lamika Scott on here as quick as the Saturdays they'll give us, which I think is going to be in about 2 weeks. But I used them to my advantage. Thursday night, I had their picture on the screen. I'm like, look, they just went chairperson 2. You know what chairperson 2 is? They made about $25,000 last week. I said, who would like to do that? Those kinds of people are coming to this company. Why are they? Those kinds of people are coming here at the same time some other people are quitting. I'm like, oh my God, why do people have no vision? Like, this is the moment everybody that has ever dreamed of being rich in network marketing that you wait on. And it's the reason that you hear the stories is it's hard for a company to get it all right. Stephane just hit on it. It's not a slight on the previous owners that we didn't have marketing. It just wasn't a priority, but they had a priority on infrastructure, product quality, and licenses. So you don't have to deal with waiting 4 weeks for an auto ship to arrive. You can now ship from Canada and actually get it the week you order it. So they were doing all of those things. And now then, really, I always call it the grace of God that allowed all that infrastructure and different things that went on trying to create that kind of got messed up to then come into being PartnerCo now, a debt-free $400 million company in over 50 countries with products already developed. That's what, if you're new, that will not make sense, but that is an impossible statement to be this big with a brand new name in that many countries with new owners. That these owners, guys, listen, Darren's already rich. That's the downfall of most people, is that ego gets in their way. It's especially people that have never done well before, makes them make bad decisions. Lots of things occur as life changes for people. Listen, your owner's already made it. He was already retired in Puerto Rico. This is not something he's trying to make. This is going to be, guys, a $5 billion plus company. I can guarantee it. I mean, long as our government don't screw up the world and the God keeps letting us live, this company's going, buddy. Don't miss this moment. Ken, you were there yesterday too. And
Yeah.
you and Brent, Chris asked them questions.
Yeah, I couldn't be on yesterday, Todd, and I know we're running out of time. We got to have Claudia and Stephane back because I had some questions. We don't have time to get
No,
into.
go ahead, ask real quick. We'll take a couple extra
Couple
minutes.
things real quick though. Stephane was talking about Mark Patterson, and Mark went from Vima to Jeunesse. The guy's got tons of experience, and our unboxing experience, one-page enrollment. I mean, some beautiful, beautiful marketing stuff coming. But I just want to thank Stephane and Claudia. They've always been such team players, Todd. Sideline to us, but always willing to work with. And that's not always true. So we're really, really grateful to that. But I do want to point out that we have learned the secret to Stephane's success. It's Claudia. Okay. Just like Todd's secret is Ashley. Okay. It's the story's out there. We already know, right? No, but outstanding. A couple of real quick things we've repeated that Stephane said, your turn's coming. Claudia said another great gold nugget there. Don't compare your first chapter with somebody else's 15th chapter. People tend to, and we could train on that right there, how people compare themselves and get down and, let that emotions, you got to take that out of the game. But the real one question I would like to ask Stephane and Claudia, you talking about timing of our company. Todd said $400 million debt free. You obviously experienced bad timing in your past. Speak to us about how important that timing is and what people should be doing right now.
Yeah, it's this factor that you don't control. You control it personally, right? So I think that when you look at the company timing, you have to create your own timing, right? Because yeah, the company can be growing, but if you're stand still, then it's not going to happen for you. So how do you create that? You create it yourself with your own momentum, with your own connections. So you got to get out there, just like I described earlier, where I had an idea. I need to create a website. I created 3 websites. I need to get on Facebook. I got on Facebook. I create 7 Facebook accounts. Then I got Twitter. Then I was all over the place. Any idea that came up, I was not trying to do it perfectly. I was trying just to do it quick because I don't have any time to waste. So for me right now, when I look at where we are, it's either you make this your time to shine, or you wait and watch others create the success. So that's going to be determined on you. It's not on, okay, am I inviting properly? Get over all of these little things quick, right? Sometimes that's the thing is they say, well, I don't know how to handle objections. Well, go learn it. Like tomorrow, you need to know how to handle objections, not in a month. Now, this is like the small stuff. The big stuff is just the success is the number of people between you and where you want to go. How many people are you going to expose to the information? That's all it is. And the great thing about this company and this team here is that they have the skills, the knowledge, the education, the system. They have everything. Plug into it and do it quick. Don't waste any time. It's not time to learn. It's time to get into action. So I think that's where we are now.
So it always comes down to you. If it's the good timing, the company has ups and downs. Life has ups and downs. We had COVID for 3 years. We grew during COVID here in Canada like crazy, but we lost Indonesia because of it's up and down. So you have life that happens, and it always comes down to how you react to it and how you're going to handle those downs. Because if you handle those downs properly with the right mindset and you keep the vision, the ups are just going to go higher, 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 higher. So that's the thing, is that the timing is how you react to that timing, how you use that timing. If it's a low point, how are you going to figure it out to go back up? Don't just go oh, okay, it's low and keep going down and down, or just abandoning the ship because it's low. Use that to create whatever you need to create to come back up.
And if you wonder if all this is worth it, I encourage you to follow Claudia and Stephane on social media. They don't train on social media. They just make you jealous. They are always somewhere in the world having fun. Like and by the way, their team is always the largest team on every vacation. They know how to promote their team into winning vacations. They were the largest group in Tahiti. They were the largest group in Mexico. And I happened to get to go with all the French Canadians, except for Claudia. You guys went the day before and got sick, but I went with your group on the we went on the excursion in Tahiti on a little boat. We sailed for 3 hours on the water and ended up at that little island. So it was my first day on an only French speaking boat. It was the most amazing group of people, but it's all worth it. It's all worth everything on the other side.
You know, they kept saying your turn will come, Todd, but your turn only comes if you're taking action. That was the point I was trying to get to. It'll never happen if you're not in the game, right? So thank you guys. Incredible, incredible training today.
And thank you, Chris, for starting this call 8 years ago. We've been running every Saturday for 8 years now.
Pretty amazing. Stephane, you amaze me. I was thinking when we met 10 years ago, a little over 10 years ago, I was just, and we just talked, and I was trying to learn about the company, and you've been you don't even know it, but you're watched by so many people because of your determination. And you were asking me questions to come to find out. I'm like, this guy's better than I am. Why is he asking me questions? You're always listening. And I'm like, this guy was asking me questions. I found out he was the stud. I'm like, but I found out by Todd that it was actually Claudia. So, so we've all been explained by Ken that it's not, it's Ashley and Claudia running this company. We just didn't know better. So thank you for being on. You've been here once before for us. It's been several years ago. We always appreciate you getting on this call. You've always been welcome to help, and that's an amazing thing. Coach Palmer, you want to add anything before we go?
No, I just think it's Stephane and Claudia is great ambassadors for what our company is trying to pull off, or working to pull off, not trying. They're doing it. Birds of a feather flock together. It doesn't matter what country or what part of the world you live in. When you got people that have a heart for helping other people and they love giving back and they learn with the intent to teach and see leaders developed, you're building something that's unstoppable. When you can, it's hard to create that. It's hard to bring all the synergy together to make that happen. This company's doing that. And Stephane and Claudia, thank you, because you're great shining examples of what this company's bringing together. So thank you for your servant-driven leadership.
And if I can just say something for everyone here, I remember back when I joined ARIIX, I went to Utah for the first time, didn't have much money, bootstrapped with money. I remember getting to the airport and I thought, how do I get to Tim's house? I don't have enough money to get there. And when I landed, I got a text message, Steve Swart is picking me up. And I said, there we go, I got my lift. But the thing is, they made us feel like family. We walked in the house, everybody was asleep, it was late at night. I got a little welcome to your place. If you need anything, go in the fridge, here's their Wi-Fi. Like, I felt this was family. And you guys make us feel like that. And for me at that time, I remember I said, I need to deserve that. And so the way I'm going to deserve that is I got to get in action. I got to get result. I got to create success so that these guys say that if they treated me like family, well, I'm deserving that place. So I hope all of you here today feel like that. Go out there, create the success, because you want to hang out with these guys. This is the place you want to be, surrounded with people like you guys. So thank you for making us feel like that. It's a pleasure. It's an honor to work by your side and build this great company together. Thanks for the invite.
Thank you for learning English so we could actually talk to you. None of us have taken the time to learn French. You don't even have an accent anymore. It's amazing. Blows my mind.
Thank you.
Guys, have a great day. This video, I've had multiple people asking. Anthony will put this on his YouTube channel. If you need to make sure, if you're not following Anthony Moreland on YouTube, that'll get you where these videos we do on Saturdays. He's so good about getting these put up quickly. So it'll be up before the day's out. Guys, have a great day. Thanks for being on. Claudia.
Everybody, thank them for coming in French and English.
Thanks.